Hey, it's me, MLB. Here is BNHA Second Generation Chapter 8, and this one is titled Kiru and Her Dad. Jinny headed slowly back down the hall, walking back to where Soshi was still waiting for her at the viewing room. There were only a few contestants left, and then that would conclude the sports festival, and she was glad it was all over. Well, I guess I'm not going to get picked to intern with anyone because I didn't even win my round, she thought sadly as she dragged her feet back to the room. How embarrassing. Maybe Dad might let me do some work with him just so that I don't look like a loser. She tried to rid herself of negative thoughts as she walked to the room, giving Soshi a weak smile as she walked over to him. Not that it really matters because I know he's fine, but how's G? Soshi asked softly, trying not to look too concerned. He's okay, Jinny replied glumly. Is he really okay or are you just lying? Soshi asked, picking up that Jinny seemed a little more down than usual. No, he is actually fine, I'm just... Her voice trailed off as she stared at the ground and swallowed hard, biting back the bitter emotions. It's okay, someone will definitely pick you, Soshi said as he walked forwards and engulfed her in a hug. How did you know I was thinking about being picked? Jinny asked with surprise as she looked up into his face, her face only inches from his as she wrapped her arms around his middle. She was so close that she could see the small brown flecks mixed into his orange irises. I know you too well, Soshi said with a sexy little smirk. Yeah, you do, Jinny replied, smiling bashfully back at him. Hey, a voice called from the doorway, and Jinny quickly lunged back from Soshi's arms and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear as she looked towards the voice. Oh, Kiki! She squealed happily when she saw the young girl. Dad says you can come and sit with us now that your matches are done, she said, crossing her arms across her chest and blowing a bubblegum bubble before letting it pop, all the while maintaining an intimidating stare at Soshi. But just one of you. Can I come? Jinny asked expectantly. I never even had the option, Soshi muttered, shoving his hands in his pocket and walking towards Kiru. They exchanged steely glances as he walked out of the room and off down the hall in the direction of the nurse's office. Thanks, Kiki. I'm glad that's all over, Jinny said as she bounded over to her friend. Same, Kiru replied as she slung her arm around Jinny's shoulders and strolled out of the room with her. So your dad's here? Jinny asked. Yeah, Kiru scoffed, amazingly. Funny he finds time to come to this, but can't come to any of my special events. Oh, Kiki, but he came to your recital. Yeah, but that was only because he was in town, she muttered in reply. But every time he's in town he makes sure to come to things. He can't help it if he's not in town and you have something special on, Jinny said gently. Kiru hung her head and looked away a bit. I don't like him going away so much, she mumbled sadly. I want him here more. I hate that he's the number one hero. He never has time for us. He's doing his best, Jinny offered with a smile. Whose side are you on? Kiru pouted. I know he loves you, Jinny said gently as she reached her arms around Kiru's middle and squeezed her from the side. And I love you too. Thanks, Kiru replied, a small smile tugging at her lips. Anyway, he's hanging with your dad, Chi's dad, and Soshi's dad. Is Uncle Denki here? Jinny asked with an expectant smile. He was, but he's gone to see how Renji's doing after her match. Oh. Jinny loved her Uncle Denki. She would spend hours with him as a baby and toddler, and had many sleepovers at his and Auntie Kairi's place. She loved the dynamics of their little family, and she loved how goofy Uncle Denki was. Your dad can't stop talking about how amazing you are, and let's be honest, you were frickin' amazing, Kiru said proudly. I wasn't. No one's going to pick me to intern with him, Jinny said softly as she looked down at the ground and walked the last of the way to the congregating dads. Hush your beautiful mouth, Kiru exclaimed. If they don't pick you, they'll regret it. I'll ask Dad if he would take me on, Jinny said, looking up again as her and Kiru approached the open doors to the back of the stands. She could see the back of her dad ahead, and she took a steadying breath in as she walked out, straightening a little as she came up behind him. Jinsei! Deku, Kiru's dad, called brightly when he saw her. You did so well. Thanks, Uncle Izu, Jinsei replied softly, smiling bashfully in the presence of such a well-known hero. There's my girl! Jinsei's dad, Red Riot, called as he spun around and opened his arms for her to run into. At the sight of her dad, Jinsei's bottom lip quivered, and she let out a little whimpering noise as she ran from Kiru's side and into his embrace, letting his strong arms engulf her. Hey, he cooed softly as he patted the back of her head. It's okay, don't cry. Dad? Kiru mumbled, sidling up to her dad and trying to act disinterested as she looked away at something apparently more interesting. Yes, Baba? He asked softly as he crouched down in front of her so that he could look into her eyes. Don't call me Baba, it's embarrassing, she pouted, blushing profusely, secretly happy that he had called her by her nickname. Oh, sorry, he said sheepishly. What is it, Kiru? Her heart sank at hearing him call her by her name. Why can't I just tell Dad that I want him to baby me and look after me and care about me? She huffed internally, immediately detaching from him to protect herself. Can you, put down Jinsei for intern requests with you so that she doesn't have anyone not asking for her? I was already planning on doing that, he said softly with a smile as he reached out to pat her head. Kiru flinched and pushed his hand away, regretting it immediately and wishing that he would just grab her in a hug like Red Riot was doing to Jinsei, but unfortunately he just looked hurt and retracted his hand. It's very plus ultra of you to care about Jinny like that, he said gently with another soft smile. Daddy issues, anybody? Stay tuned for the next chapter, chapter 9, coming tomorrow.